Hello and welcome to another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. In each episode, we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney+. On this episode, we are taking a look at an early Pixar franchise as we take a look at Toy Story 3. And if you are enjoying these episodes, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new episode. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like you said, today we were taking a look at Toy Story 3. This movie was released on June 18th, 2010. It was directed by Lee Unkrich. The screenplay was by John Lasseter, Lee Unkrich, and Andrew Stanton. The production company was Pixar Animation Studios, and it was distributed by Walt Disney Pictures. The budget for this movie was $200 million, and it did a box office return of $1.067 billion. But let's take a look at the backstory. So when Disney made the agreement with Pixar to distribute their films, they made the deal where the films and the characters were controlled by Disney. So this would allow Disney to make sequels without the participation of Pixar if they so choose. Pixar, however, would have first right for refusal. However, Disney could still go ahead without Pixar's involvement. In 2004, when negotiations with Pixar were strained between Michael Eisner and Steve Jobs, Disney decided they would go ahead and make Toy Story 3 with a new studio called Circle 7 Animation. The movie was set to be released in 2003, and Buddy Raymond, who had directed The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 and Lion King 1.5, was hired to direct. Several ideas for the film were floated around, including Andy visiting his grandmother's house, and would be introduced to two new toys called Hee Haw and Glandiola in a whodunit type mystery about who's stealing toys. The final story, however, was changed with a script by Jim Hesfield, and the story focused on Buzz being shipped back to Taiwan due to a massive toy recall. The story goes that Buzz was defective, and the rest of the toys must now go to Taiwan to save Buzz from being recalled. In January of 2006, Disney would purchase Pixar, and this would have made Ed Catmull and John Lasseter placed in charge of Disney Animation. Shortly after the deal, Circle 7 Animation was shut down and Toy Story 3 was canceled. The production was then transferred to Pixar, who had their own ideas for a Toy Story 3. And the Pixar screenwriters actually made it a point not to look at the Circle 7 animation script, not because they didn't like the ideas, but they didn't want to be influenced by their ideas. They wanted to come up with their own concepts. Lee Unkrich was announced as the director as opposed to John Lasseter because he was busy directing Cars 2. Disney Dolby Laboratories would announce that Toy Story 3 would be the first film to feature 7.1 surround sound. So let's take a look at the cast. So we have Tom Hanks, who comes back to voice Woody, Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear, Joan Cusack as Jessie, Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, Wallace Shawn as Rex, John Ratzenberger as Ham, Estelle Harris as Mrs. Potato Head, Ned Beatty as Lotso Huggenbear, Michael Keaton as Ken, and Jodie Benson as Barbie. But let's take a look at the plot. So Woody and Buzz and the whole gang are back. As their owner prepares to go to college, his loyal toys find themselves donated to a daycare accidentally where untamed tots with their sticky fingers do not play nice. So it is all for one and one for all as they join Barbie's counterpoint Ken, a thespian hedgehog named Mr. Picklepants, and a pink-scented, strawberry-scented teddy bear called Lotso Huggenbear to plan their great escape. So Lotso actually ends up being the villain in this, which is really awesome because this is actually Pixar's first plush. And it's kind of an interesting villain twist where the cuddly plush is actually the mastermind. So let's take a look at the legacy of the film. So the first teaser trailer was released ahead of Up on May 29th, 2009. And also during a double feature presentation of Toy Story 1 and 2 in 3D, a sneak peek was also presented with completed scenes of Toy Story 3. Mattel, Thinkway Toys, and Lego would also make toys based on the characters of the film. And Disney Interactive Studios would release a video game based on the film's storyline as well. Toy Story 3 was also featured on the Apple iPhone ISO 4 with Steve Jobs demonstrating an iAd featuring Lotso. The Oscar campaign, when it came for Oscar time for Toy Story 3, featured the characters in posters from former Oscar winning films, such as Titanic, Shakespeare in Love, and Lord of the Rings. And because of the success of Toy Story 3, Disney actually released a campaign for all their employees where each employee would get a special edition Toy Story 3 Blu-ray free of charge. So would I recommend the film? I think this movie is excellent. It's a great story with great characters. It's a great way as well to wrap up what at the time we thought was Toy Story trilogy, as you go from Andy being a young boy to going to college and then transitioning to a new owner. I also like the prison escape of the daycare. I think it's excellently told, well done, and again, each character has a purpose. And I like the new characters being Lotso and Ken. I think they really add to the story, and great performances from Ned Beatty and Michael Keaton as well for those two characters. And just generally, the last scene of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it. It's very emotional, and it definitely pulls at the heartstrings. So definitely a way to wrap up the series. And if this was the last Toy Story, it would have wrapped it up nicely. But it also is a great transition into new Toy Story films because they obviously transitioned to a new owner with Andy going off to college. So definitely recommend this one. There's lots of laughs for not only little kids, but also for the older kids as well, and generally the whole family. So thank you so much for joining us here on another episode of Disney Movie Investigation. I would love for anyone to please leave a comment on what they think of Toy Story 3. And as we look forward to our next episode, we're going to kind of stay with that childlike kids' toys movie as we take a look at Big, starring Tom Hanks. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.